Hello. This is the expression of depression, and this is my YouTube channel. I'm 29, and I've suffered from depression since I was 16. It has evolved over the years. The reason why I was depressed at 16 is not quite the reason why I'm depressed now. But the reason why I'm doing this channel is because I feel like I need to document my thoughts. I've always wanted to document them, and I've come to a point in my life where I don't know what else to do to give me a purpose in life. It sounds real cringe. I mean, this whole setup is cringe, but I just need to do it. I have tried. I've tried many times to find something to get better. And recently I come to a point where I'm like, I don't know what else to do. We will get into that, whether it's this video or future videos, but basically the purpose of this channel is maybe to help people. I'm going to give some videos which are some tips that I've done that has helped me get through it, and there's other videos will just be expressing my depression, like my misery, how I see the world, and what I think of the reality in which we live. So some videos will be more interesting than others to people. This one I don't think will be very interesting to most people, but I feel like I need to explain who I am and how I've got to this point in my life. Now, the reason why I'm wearing this mask is because in videos to come I will have opinions that people won't like. I know people won't like them because I've talked to many people in my life, and some do get upset with how I see the world. And I don't want people to bash me for, how I look or for me as a person. But if they bash my thoughts, that's okay. I can separate my ideas from me. And I know whether this video will get, if it gets 10 views or if it gets 10,000 views, there will be haters. And I'm not in the state of mind to deal with that. If they hate this character, or it's not a character, but if they hate my ideas, then that's okay. I can separate that from myself. Now, like I said, my depression started when I was 16. My childhood was honestly one of the best childhoods you could have. I have very loving parents. They did divorce when I was 5, but I was very, very fortunate in which they both found a partner very early on and stayed with them. And my stepdad, he's like another dad to me. And my stepmom, we've never seen eye to eye on a lot of things, but I do respect her as a person. She is a good woman at heart. And yeah, there's no animosity between us. So I've been very, very fortunate with that. As a child, I mean, it's hard to say that I was an average child, because even as a child, I always was aware that I thought different to other children. I just feel like I think even back then just thought a little deeper than the people I was around. It didn't affect me socially as a kid. I wasn't like ostracized. I wasn't a weirdo. I wasn't like popular either. I was just had a small friend circle. I don't speak to any of them now. I didn't really since I left school, but like I had friends. But yeah, I mean, people did try and pick on me when I was younger, because I was a nerd. I did have glasses, or I still wear glasses, and like, you know, I left school with the best grades in my year, but I also got a little bit of a fighting spirit within me, and anytime they did try and bully me, I would fight back. And growing up in a normal school, sometimes you had to fight back. I never enjoyed it, but it's what you had to do, and the bullying did stop. Now, the depression started when I left school. I went to a sixth form, which for American viewers, it's like the 2 years before you go to university. And this sixth form was, it's the best school in the country which you don't have to pay for. You can either go from when you're 11 years old, or you can go from when you're 16 years old. I didn't get in when I was 11, but I got in when I was 16 based on the grades that I got from school. Now, going there, I thought, this is it. My life is going to be up and up and off, you know. I got good grades, I'm going to a good school, so my A-levels are going to be even better, and then hopefully go to a good university. And I was really interested in being a stockbroker, like my cousin, or if not, something in finance, but dealing with money, like accountancy or whatever. I was always good at maths, good at science, good with numbers. And yeah, things didn't quite go to plan. This school that I went to, this sixth form, my God, it was completely different. It was not like a normal school. There were friendship groups that had already existed. They had 5 years of friendship groups. So when you come in when you're 16, you're an outsider. And both the teachers and the students made you feel like an outsider, like you weren't part of it. Yeah, and I just couldn't click with people. I made a couple friends, but not really. Like, they were just okay. And I did get bullied, but it's not like the bullying in which I was used to, where, you know, they'd shove you and then you'd have to fight them back. This was just like bitchy words and manipulation and like just sly comments, and I was not used to this, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to fight back. And yeah, and I could see, I was about 4 or 5 months in, and I was like, I don't want to do another 18 months of this. I don't want to. And if I didn't want to do something, I knew it was going to affect my grades. And it was just, at 16, I remember for the first time I'd ride in on my moped, and I just say out loud as I was riding in, I don't want to live. I don't want to live. I don't want to do this. I want to die. This is just not the life for me. And at this point, I didn't realize that this was depression. I just didn't. Yeah, I knew something wasn't right. So I did leave. I left there after Christmas, after about 4.5 months in. I tried getting into another college called Welbeck, which is an army or military sixth form, rated even higher than this one. Now, my grades I was able to get in, but during the interview process they said I had no leadership skills, which at 16 I'm like, how am I meant to show that I'm a leader at 16? Anyway, I'm really glad I didn't get in, because my opinions on the military and fighting for this country, yeah, well, let's just say I don't believe we should fight for this government, but we'll leave that for another video. Yeah, so I went back, I went to a normal college at 17, went back a year, so I had to do the 2 years again. And during that time off, in between starting this one and finishing the other one, yeah, I would drink. I didn't really enjoy the feeling, but I would get drunk every now and then. Yeah, I said and just game, and really just not do anything. Those few months are a blur. I just wouldn't do anything. Yeah, so I still had high hopes. I was like, when I get to this new college, I can, it's a familiar environment, and I can crack on and get to it. So yeah, in this new college, the first year was good. I mean, but the damage had already been done. So I did make friends. I got a girlfriend, and I was socializing, and I seemed okay, but I wasn't studying. I managed to get decent grades based on the learning I did the previous year. But yeah, something was off with me. I was like, I kept thinking, maybe I'll, get back into it again, get back into the mindset of going to uni, get back into the mindset of studying. But it just never came. And by the second year, I'd split up with my girlfriend. And, your first love, it hits hard when you break up. So that, on top of how I was feeling before, I started smoking weed. I'd always wanted to try it, even when I was like 11, 12, 13. I thought, yeah, I would want to try it. I just want to know what it feels like. And yeah, I loved it. I loved weed. I still love weed. And that bit, when I tried it, end of 17, coming on to 18, that was it. So I was hooked. Yeah, I remember, 6 weeks in of smoking, going, I smoked every day for 6 weeks, and I was noticing my mental health really deteriorating. I was thinking, what is the point? I don't enjoy studying. My grades are failing. I'm not going to get into the university I want. Do I even want to go to university if it's just a continuation of this? Yeah, so many things, and I thought, even back then I knew I had to try and improve my mental health. So I picked up the gym. Very early on in 18, I started exercising. Back then, even back then, I knew exercise releases dopamine, releases endorphins, and previously as a child I was never into exercise. I was always into like gaming and just staying indoors, but this was like, no, I need to try and make a change. I need to try and get better. But yeah, after every workout you do feel good, but it lasts for like 20 minutes. It's like it doesn't solve any problems. You just feel good while you're doing it, and obviously you see your body improving, and it's just a distraction. So during my second year of college, I completely stopped studying. I turned up to class stoned. I started experimenting with other drugs, coke, MD, legal highs. I tried like kratom. There were like things like K-Packs. There used to be legal high websites and a legal high shop down the street before they made it illegal, where you could just try lots of different things as well. Spice, that was another one. I did like that because it was very, very cheap. I also got into psychedelics. There was this one drug called 25i. It feels slightly different to LSD and magic mushrooms, but it is a psychedelic. And I remember at 18, I took it in the evening, and I had this out-of-body experience. Because I was lying on my bed, and myself came out of my body, and I was looking down, and I just analysed my future. I was like, no matter what job you have, you are going to be working Monday to Friday every single week. You can get between 4 and 6 weeks off a year, and maybe 1 or 2 weeks abroad a year, and that's it. You are trapped, and it doesn't matter if you've got a good paying job or not. That is your life. And that terrified me. I was just like, what the hell? It doesn't matter how hard I try. It doesn't matter how hard I study. The reality of life is you're on that hamster wheel. You're just going round and round and round and round, and the years are going to blend. And I don't want this. I don't want this life. This is the life that is determined for me, and I just do not want it. Yeah. That trip, I didn't know it then, but it did trigger something in me to try and change that. I didn't do it. It wasn't until a few years later that I tried to get away from that idea of life, but it always stayed in the back of my head. So anyway, I left college after failing every single A2 exam. The first time in my life I've ever failed an exam, and I failed them all. I was rocking up to the exams high. Yeah, because of my AS levels, so the grades from the year before. I did walk away with 3 A levels. I think it was either 2 E's and a D or 2 D's and an E. I don't care. To me, it's a failure. Like E's and D's, who gives a shit? Yeah. But because my GCSEs were so good, I managed to land an apprenticeship with Schneider Electric. Most of you won't have heard of that. Well, I say most of you. I don't know if anyone's even going to watch this video, but if you are watching, Schneider Electric is a massive company. It's like the 40th biggest in the world. And what it does, it does like circuitry for anything from houses to factories, and low voltage to high voltage, everything electric. I got this job, and even at that point I was thinking, well, this is a downgrade to what I could have done. I mean, it's a good job, but it's not stockbroking, it's not accountancy, it's not working in a bank, but it was okay. And in my interviews, we were being toured around the offices and the factory, and I remember asking older apprentices in the office, I was like, do you enjoy this job? I asked a few of them, and the answers I got were, yeah, it's okay. Like they were surprised that I even asked that question. Like, it's a job, you know, I just do it. And I was looking around, looking at the managers, and I was like, oh God, I don't want to be any of these people. Like, you know, whether it's the ones that are the people that have stayed, you know, at a certain level till near retirement, or whether the people that is high at the top on 100k or 150k, I was just looking at them, I was like, none of them have a soul. None of them have any personality about them. All they do and exist is work in Schneider. And I was like, oh my God, this is me. This is my life. But when you're 19, it's like, yeah, this is it. I have to accept it. I've got the job. Yeah, I can earn some money, and you just have to accept it. So I stayed in that job for 3 years. I got my apprenticeship, but by the end of those 3 years, I was just, again, I'd almost lost my mind. Every day was the same. The years had already blended. I was 22, and I was like, I'm wasting my life. I sit in one cubicle, well, it was an open plan office, but I sit in the same chair, looking at the same 2 screens, looking at the same windows, seeing the same faces, doing the same job, talking about the same crap every single day. Oh God, it's awful. You know, drive the same way to work, go to the same gym, drive back. You're looking at where I grew up, the changes that were happening, building on, like, buildings just popping up all the time. There's no peace and quiet. Everything gets louder and noisier, and just so boring and ugly. The life is ugly. And I was like, I just wanted to die. I'd cry so much. I'd take so many drugs, MDMA, going out. I'd be trying to find different, you know, going with different women, and just, I wasn't a good person. I wasn't nice to girls. I had no respect for other people. I didn't have respect for myself. I was going to work stoned. like just 24/7 stoned, literally smoking a spliff on the way to an office job, like driving there in the morning, smoking a spliff, doing my work stoned. Obviously, that would make me socially awkward. I wouldn't get on well with the managers. Like, I didn't care for the job. I didn't care for like sucking up to them. So I was like, yeah, I'm not going to get high up in this. I could already see it. And I was just, I really, really wanted to die. Like I said, fortunately, I've got a good family. My mum and my dad would, like, even though they were divorced, they'd still talk to each other and they'd talk to me, and they pushed me to travel. They said, look, you want to die, you want to commit suicide, so what have you got to lose in taking a risk and quitting this job and going somewhere, doing something different? And they were right. When you're at that level, you have nothing to lose. You can do anything you want. So I did. I quit my job. And of all places in the world I went to Israel. And at that point, so I was 22. I knew nothing about it. This was 2019. I decided in 2018. I was planning it from August, September 2018, and it wasn't until the beginning of January 2019 in which I went. And I knew that, like, I planned to go there for the whole year, the whole of 2019 I'd go. And don't get me wrong, I was terrified, like, just leaving everything behind. I knew nothing, like I said, I knew nothing about the place. I just knew it was in the Middle East, and stuff happened there, you know. not good stuff either, like wars and whatnot. In my head, it was a bloody war zone. But I felt alive. When you're feeling like that and you want to die, the best things you can do are the things that scare you and make you feel alive, because being scared makes you feel alive. So yeah, I remember sitting on the plane there. I'd fell asleep, and I was dreaming that I was back at home, back in my bed, and I woke up on the plane, and I was like, what, where am I? I was like, oh my God, I'm not going to sleep in my bed now for a whole year. I was like, I have no idea where I'm going to sleep for the next year. Because that was the other thing. I didn't even know where I was going to be staying in Israel. I knew I had to get to the headquarters of this kibbutz program, because I went for kibbutz volunteers. And from there, then I'd find out where I was staying. The only thing I did know was that I was going to be working outside. That was something I made clear. I said, I don't mind volunteering at this place, but I need to work outside, because I just wanted a simple life. Like, the rat race was just not for me. And what the kibbutz volunteers offered was, you worked full time. They'd give you free accommodation, free food, and a little bit of pocket money, and they would take you on some trips, and it would be with people from all over the world doing the same thing. So to me, that was it. A whole year, not having to worry about money, not having to worry about anything. I could just work outside and enjoy the rest and meet new people. So that is why I went to Israel. And yeah, I'm so glad I knew nothing about the place, because if I did, I wouldn't have enjoyed it as much as I did. So the first half of the year, well, let's take it back. the first month, that was tough, because I was still smoking weed every day before I left. So when I went, I had to stop smoking, and obviously I was really, really down. But yeah, and the first 2 months I was actually stuck washing dishes. I was in washing dishes and laying tables for the dining hall for the kibbutz. And a kibbutz is just the village, basically, but it's a kibbutz because everyone there, no matter what job you have, you could be a doctor, or you could be a cleaner or a gardener. Like, you can work outside the kibbutz or inside the kibbutz. Everyone got paid the same. All the money went in a collected pot, and everyone got the same if you were part of the kibbutz. Volunteers, slightly different. But yeah, those first 2 months, I was like, oh my God, I've left my job with Schneider that, I could have ended up earning a middle-class wage, and I've come to washing dishes for the equivalent of 30 quid a week. I was like, what the hell have I done? So yeah, that was the first couple of months. I had lost my mind. I did kind of want to come back, but I'm glad I didn't. The people I met were incredible. And then eventually I did start working in the gardens. And that working in the gardens was incredible. I had the best boss I've ever had, apart from when I worked with my stepdad, but that's for later. He was incredible, and something he said while I was working with him has again stayed with me for the rest of my life. He pointed, he said, like, to the landscape. He was like, Jared, everything you look at is fake. He said, this isn't natural. It's all man-made. It's all pumped with irrigation, and this isn't a natural environment. And that was it. And that was when that just stayed with me. And then I was thinking about UK and everywhere I've been, and it's like, oh my God, it's like, I actually don't know what nature is. And I wanted to work outside, but that really got me interested in nature. And again, when I returned home, I didn't act on it immediately, but I knew then that I actually wanted to do something beneficial for nature. I wanted to, because everything is fake. I mean, like I said before, I am from the UK, and the UK is highly, highly developed. Like, the landscape is basically like a garden, and we don't have nature here. We have little pockets, but there's no wilderness. I'll get into that later. But yeah, that like with the taking the 25i, it's just something that stayed with me, and it's something that has affected the rest of my life. So the first half of my year in Israel was good. My depression was easing up because I didn't have any worries. I was meeting good people, and I was doing a job that I loved. I really loved this job. It was actually 6 days a week for 6 hours each day, but it didn't feel like work. I mean, it'd start at, I think it was 6 a.m. or 6:30, and by 8 a.m. my t-shirt was drenched in sweat. It was that hot, but I loved it. I just loved. You could see the work that you were doing, and people in the kibbutz would be like happy with the work that you were doing. My boss really appreciated me. you know, for my birthday over there, him and his friend, they got wild boar. His friend shot a wild boar, and they did barbecue for me. And that meal is that wild boar with salt and pepper barbecue. Oh God, it's the most delicious thing I've ever had. If I was on death row and it was like you can have one meal, it would be that. And you know, we'd have beers every now and then after work, and we'd just chat. It was just really, really nice. I knew also at the time that this is temporary. I've got to go back home, and you know, but I just try and block that out. But the second half of the year, a lot of the friends I'd made had left, and by about 8-9 months in, they'd all left. New people were coming, but it just wasn't the same connections, and the reality of returning back home was kicking in. And what the hell am I going to do now? Because I don't have that job that I had. And yeah, so, and then I picked up smoking weed again. So every bit of money that I'd make would go on weed over there. Yeah, so by the time I was returning home, I was depressed. But fortunately, I was offered a job. No one gets offered a job there, but I was offered a job. I was offered a place to stay, 5,000 shekels a month, which is about £1,000 a month, plus your food, plus your accommodation. I was like, oh, hey up, this is all right. So I was like, yeah, I think I'll take this offer up. I want to go back home first because I've been away for a year, but I'll keep in touch. I'll let you know. When I returned home at the end of 2019, well, you know what happened in 2020. The global cough, let's call it. Yeah. I never returned. That place was shut off. I was shut off. Yeah. I never returned. So when I did get back home, my God, things were tough. Like, and I had no idea what to do. But again, having the family that I have, I'm so blessed. My stepdad is a carpenter, and he was self-employed, and yeah, he said I could work with him, and I did, and that was okay. It wasn't a job that I ever saw myself doing. You know, from a kid thinking I was going to be a stockbroker like my cousin, to then being a carpenter, I was like, oh my God. Like each new job is, I hate to say it, like a downgrade of the last in terms of money. And but working with my stepdad, he was also the greatest boss I've had. But as his family, it's slightly different. But I mean, I feel so fortunate that I was able to work with him. Not many people work with their family, and even if they do, not many people get on well with their family. There's a lot of falling out, but we never had that. We had a really good bond. He would teach me. I also did night school. And yeah, it was good. Now, during COVID, because carpentry is like classed as essential, we continued to work. I didn't really notice COVID, to be honest. Like, I was working full time. I even had a second job delivering pizzas. That was classed as essential work. So I was still working 60 hours a week during COVID. I just realised I've said the C word. It doesn't matter, I've said it now. I'm not going to edit it out. Yeah, and yeah, so I didn't have, being so busy, like, even though you're down, you're busy. So you have to keep going, and working with my stepdad, it was good enough. Now, when they were talking about the jabs, I wasn't going to have any, because I don't like the idea of, even then I thought, this is too suspicious. There's no tests, no one, like, there's not been enough time from when they were created to see any of the effects, the long-term effects. I thought, this is dumb. Like, no one knows what they're putting in their body here. And again, I wasn't big into conspiracies, but I just didn't trust the government. The same government that, you know, is changing the demographics of the nation against most people's wants, and, you know, that puts stuff on the telly that obviously that they hate us. I was like, these people hate us and they're telling us to take this. I was like, no, not for me, thanks. I try and stay away from everything that they recommend. And so, like I said, I wasn't into conspiracies or anything, but I had no trust of them. But I did want to travel still. I had friends that I'd met in Israel and I wanted to see them. And I thought, okay, I do want to die. If this thing kills me, so be it. So be it. At least I'm going to get some experiences. I'd rather live fast, die young, basically. I'd rather have a life well lived than just a long, boring life. And honestly, who wants to be old? When you're past 40, if you live till 80, half your life is just being old. I mean, arguably, it's more than that, because some people think when you're 30, you're old. So, yeah, I'd rather have, you know, a good, fun few years rather than a long, boring year. So I took the jab. I took the second one. And you best believe I took the third one, because every time I wanted to travel, I had to have one. But I got to go to Germany a few times. I got to go to Italy. And not just that I was going to the places that people don't go to, because I knew people there, and these people would show me, you know, the scenes that no one would think about going if you didn't know anyone there. I also went to Latin America. I went to Guatemala, El Salvador, Colombia, and Ecuador. And I got to see some pretty crazy stuff. Now, while I was over in that place, I was, again, it was escapism, and I could go to these places for long periods of time, because I was working with my stepdad, and, you know, he was like, yeah, take as long as you want. So I was in Latin America for 7 months. And yeah, the suffering gets to me. The girl I was seeing in Guatemala, I was in Guatemala for 4 months, and she was kind of like a travel girlfriend, really. And she was a nutritionist, so she'd go out to these really remote places to check up on the welfare of infants, and a lot of them were very malnourished. So I'd go with her, you know, to the remotest places in the middle of the jungle, and just checking up on these kids. And Like these villages, they've got houses made of leaves or houses made of wood, and you're like, and they make their own clothes, and you're like, wow, okay. And then the children are starving. But even despite all that, they've still got smartphones, so but that's irrelevant. But then, even there, like you'd see the destruction of nature. Like what I thought was natural jungle was a natural jungle until I saw an actual rainforest. Yeah, it's sad. So there's a lot of deforestation and a lot of plastic, a hell of a lot of plastic. You'd almost always be like when you weren't in the cities, you'd almost always be smelling burning plastic, because that's the only way they could get rid of it, and you just got used to the smell. But yeah, that would make me depressed. Like no matter how far away from, but you can't get away from people, and everywhere you look, there's dogs starving, like animals starving. There'd be chickens and ducks roaming around because that's what they'd have, and they'd have like no feathers. The kids would have no shoes. There'd be lice everywhere, and you're just like, oh God, this is. I am still lucky, despite me hating my country and where I live and the life I have. Arguably, I'm still freaking lucky because I could be living here, and most people live in third world countries. So I was like, that was just again messing with my mental health. I'm thinking, what the hell? Everywhere's suffering. You know, they say travel, you'll get like increases your mood, but no, most of the world's horrible. It really, really is. And the bits of the world that is nice are being destroyed, and they're horrible now. So the world's just an awful place. And it just you can't escape suffering, you can't escape misery. And but yeah, but it's experiences, and I thought, you know, it is what it is. But while I was over there, something that I do appreciate what this girlfriend said to me. She said, you should find a job that you're passionate about. You know, you might need to go back to studying, but I love taking pictures of insects. I love taking pictures of trees. I loved the nature side of it. And because that is the other thing, even though there's a lot of deforestation, there's so much open space. England is awful. It's so densely populated. You cannot escape people. No matter where you go, there's always people. But over there, there's peace and tranquility, and like you can go to places where there aren't people. But yeah, I thought, you know what? I am interested in nature. I am interested in wildlife. That is something I should look into. Anyway, I returned home. A few months later, work kind of dried up, really. We had a boom during and slightly post-COVID. Loads of people had lots of spare income, but ever since then, the cost of living crisis and income kind of dried up, and my stepdad was coming up to a few years away from retirement. He didn't have much of a pension, so he wanted to be employed to put heavy into a pension, so when he would retire he wouldn't be completely broke. And I understood that, so it kind of worked out well. Yeah, he got a job. I was looking for nature stuff, but I couldn't find anything. I had to get any job, so I got like the steel erection job, like steel frame building, so like farm buildings. And that was an awful job. Really long days, really crap pay. The people who I was working with were just drones. Like, you try and talk about topics with them and they just get offended or react quick, and like you're like, that's not even what I said. You're not even listening to what I said. And yeah, I did almost scrap someone there, which is crazy to think about, because that's not me at all. But like, it would be things like, there was a big spider, and one of my colleagues was like, wow, look at this. I went over and he was like, yeah. And then he just went to smack it. He went 3 times with the hammer. He missed every single one, fortunately. And I was like, what the hell are you doing, man? Like, what's the point? He's just there. Like, they're just savages. They're just saying, oh, kill it. You know, and they'd be throwing litter out the window. I'd be like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, stop throwing that out the window. Just wait until you get to a bin. Like, I'm not going to be on about recycling with these people. I was just like, just stop throwing it out the window, you know. And this is why I'd be falling out with them. Just like barbarians. And yeah, I was like, I need to leave this place. Like, these people aren't my people. They're just knuckle draggers. So I looked for a job, and one popped up in a national park in the north of England, which is a quieter part of England. And it was tree planting. It was basically nature restoration. Which is exactly what I want. I'll go back, actually. During when I was working with my stepdad, I was about 24, I realised I want to buy land. I want to create a small nature reserve for myself, for my peace of mind, where I can escape to, that no one's going to be bothering me. They're not going to be walking on the land. I can just relax there. I can do something positive for the landscape. Just see a positive change instead of the sterile environment. I could see something, like, because there's loads of buildings being built all the time, new towns building, because we've got to house our replacement. You know, we're not having kids, but the population's increasing, so we've got to house them. So they're tearing up the whole countryside, and I was just like, nah, even if it's just a small patch of land, at least I can say that's mine. The other thing is, obviously, I don't want children. I wish I was never born, because that way I wouldn't have to die. I wouldn't have to crave death. If I was never born, I was never here. No one would miss me. So if I was to have children and they'd think like me, that would be the most selfish thing you could possibly do. So I wouldn't wish this on anyone. I would not wish living like this on anyone. It is awful. It is 24/7 suffering. So yeah, without children, you don't have a legacy. So I thought, by buying land, you could create a legacy. And yeah, and that would, you know, stay there for years to come, hopefully. So then I found this job, and it's doing exactly what I want. It's changing the sterile environment into more biodiverse landscapes. And it was an entry-level job, and it was basically the same money as what I was on doing longer hours at this steel erection place, which is basically minimum wage. And I thought, this is it. This is exactly what I want to do personally, but I'm going to get paid for doing it. I'm going to move away from where I am in a big town, growing faster and faster, like ever expanding, more grey, concrete jungle. I'm going away from that to the countryside. I can escape it, and yeah, and I got the job. So again, crazy. When I was 15, 16, I was expecting to be a stockbroker. Left that, did electrical engineering, downgrade. Left that, did carpentry, downgrade, but still more money. What am I now? I left that, come down, and now I'm basically minimum wage. I think I'm like pennies on the hour more than minimum wage, so it is minimum wage. And yeah, but it's doing something I enjoy. It's a job that, isn't boring. I'm looking around and there's not degeneracy everywhere. It's just, yeah, I thought, yeah, it's 3.5 hours away from where, I grew up. And they asked, am I okay with that? And I was like, yeah, I've traveled the world. I don't mind moving somewhere else in the country, because I can still return to see my family very easy, and they can come up to see me. So yeah, I moved here. I rented a room. I got really lucky with that. I was basically going into shops, charity shops, asking people, if anyone knows where I can rent a room, and I found one really cheap. It was dingy, like it was a scuzzy place, but it was cheap, and I got on well with the people there. And yeah, I lived there for the first year, and I thought I enjoy living here. And because I'm not a consumer, because I don't spend money on pointless crap, I don't buy takeaways all the time, I don't care what clothes I wear. Like this, yeah, it's branded, but this is a Christmas present. Most of my clothes are either Christmas present, birthday present, or from charity shops. I don't consume. I'm able to save, and I was able to save from, I've always been saving ever since I was a kid with birthday money. It's just naturally in me to save and not to waste money. So I actually managed to have enough money for a deposit. But because it's a nice area, you're limited to what you can get. And the choice is slim, but I managed to find a 1-bedroom house right on the maximum of my budget, which I could afford to pay the mortgage on minimum wage. Like, I scraped everything to get this place, and yeah, I bought a house here. So everything was looking up. I was like, this could be it. And for 18 months, I was like, I had hope. I had hope for the future. And it's hard to say that I wasn't depressed at this point, but I wasn't suicidal. And I knew that. I ended up getting a lung infection called pleurisy, which isn't a major thing, but before I knew what it was, like I couldn't breathe. I was like chest pains, like I just woke up one morning, throughout the middle of the night, and I was like, because any big breaths, it would just kill my chest. And I was like, oh my God, this could be it here. And I wasn't ready. Out of all my previous years, if I had had that, I'd have been like, yes, bring it on. But at this point, when I had it, I was like, I'm not ready yet. I've still got a couple more years in me. I haven't bought my land, and I don't hate my life. But that feeling of, not being suicidal, it didn't last long. The rot of the West is inescapable. You see it even here. Demographics are changing here. Buildings are being built here. I'm getting poorer year by year. Digital IDs coming out. You know, knowing that we're being, all the work that I'm doing with this job, I believe is pointless, because the only people interested in doing this work are the native population. And once we're gone, no one's going to have a connection to this land, and they don't respect their own country, where they come from. Why are they going to respect this? This is just a foreign land to them. And you know what, 40% of the population is non-native, and no one in the national parks is non-native. So, well, not in ours anyway. So there may be, up and down the country, there may be a couple, but there's a big disparity between the demographics in this kind of work and the population of the nation. So with these facts, it's like, why, like I would volunteer when I first moved up here, doing butterfly conservation and coppicing in woodlands and stuff, and now I'm thinking, well, this is just a waste of effort. Yeah, we might delay it 100 years, but 100 years in the grand scheme of the planet's life is nothing. So it's all wasted, and that gets me down. On top of that, you know, the degeneracy and normies, they are everywhere. They are inescapable. I cannot connect with people because most people don't think like this. Most people just accept the world the way it is. And I'm so alone. I'm so alone. There's no one I can really talk to about this, and I hate talking about this all the time. It's just, I just talk about depressing stuff with people all the time, and even if someone kind of agrees on the surface level of what I'm on about, it doesn't matter. You can't change anything. The future is already set in stone, because the people that are running the world, and I believe this because every single Western nation has the exact same problems and is going the exact same way. And if they were diverse in leadership, they wouldn't have the exact same problems. But they have the exact same problems, and they have a plan of what they want. So talking about it is pointless. So when I've done everything I could possibly do to try and find peace, move away from the towns and cities, try and stay in the little bit of culture and heritage that is recognizable to me, but even seeing that change, when all of this happens, you have no hope. I can't afford to save, really. I can barely, but I'm like, I'm not going to afford my land like this. There's no way. Maybe I get a deposit. Maybe, if, you know, prices don't keep going crazy. But then I couldn't afford the mortgage on the land. So there's no... My only goal in life is unachievable currently, doing what I'm doing. I have no desire to work harder, because if I'm inside an office doing nature stuff, then I'm basically doing the same kind of thing that I was doing when I was at Schneider, staring at the same walls, talking to the same people, looking out the same window. And you work very, very hard in nature for very little benefit and pay. So yeah, I get a little bit of a pay increase, but I bring stress back home. I have to grind, and then I'm paying more taxes to pay for my own replacement. And I'm like, what's the point in living again? Everything is rotten. So this year I was ready. I'm 29 and I turn 30 soon. I'm like, well, 30's always been the year I said that I was going to do it. If I didn't find peace by 30, that would be it. I'm gone. I'm out of here. But the problem is, my sister has now 2 young children. My other sister is pregnant. And my existing family, obviously, they all love me very much. So if I was to leave, I would take away a support from all these people, these young people that, you know, they're going to be minorities and hated, and they're not going to have many people that they can turn to. So if I remove myself, that's one person less that they can talk to, that they can have support from. And obviously I'm going to leave what little I have to them. So that's another loss that they're going to have. They're not going to have me accumulating slightly more wealth. And I'm like, I cannot commit suicide. I cannot go away, because the damage that I'm going to leave behind, the suffering that it will do. I've seen videos of this mother. She lost her son to suicide, and it has destroyed her. 7 years later, she's still making videos crying, like how much her life has been ruined since she's lost her son. And I'm like, my God, that's going to be my mom. That's going to be my dad. That's going to be my stepdad. That's going to be my sisters, like my cousin. My cousin's lost both of his parents, and you know, he doesn't have much family left, and if I go, that's another person out of his life that he's lost, and that will stay with them forever. And it's like, I have no choice but to stay here. But what I'm doing at the moment isn't working for me. And earlier on in this year, I felt like I'd gone insane. I don't know what to do left. I don't know what to do. I started kickboxing at the start of this year because I'm so angry. And I did some boxing when I was 21, with some friends. I never went to a club, but my friends at the time were boxers, and they were very good. And so I basically had 1-on-1, and there was a group of us, anywhere between 2 and 6 of us at a time, training together. So I did have a bit of training, and yeah, this year I picked up. I was like, I need to release some anger, but again, that's not a reason to live. That's just another distraction. But I had a bit of an epiphany. I watched another YouTube video, and there was this guy saying, if you don't make YouTube videos within the next couple of years, AI is going to take over, and you'll never build a fan base, because A, they won't know if you're real or not, and B, there's going to be thousands of AI videos to every one of your videos, so your videos are never going to be seen. I always wanted to do YouTube, even when I was younger as well. I didn't mention that before, but I do enjoy making videos, like I did do when I was a kid. And I thought, okay, so after all these years, like, I couldn't think of anything to make YouTube videos about, because I'm not an expert in anything. And I feel like to make YouTube videos, you have to be an expert in something for you to be interesting to those that are novices, intermediates. Like, you have to be better than everyone else at something for people to want to listen to you. Now, I'm not an expert in anything. except for depression. I've had it all my life, so it makes sense for me to do this. On top of that, I also really no. Okay, sorry about that. I thought the camera cut out, but actually it was just the flash. I don't want to edit videos, but I will make a cut there. But yeah, the only thing I'm an expert in is being depressed and thinking. And like I said, I need a distraction in life. I need to try and find a way to earn more money. And I need to do something that I'm not going to want to kill myself with every time I do it. So I can't have a more boring job. So this kind of just, hopefully this goes somewhere. If it doesn't go anywhere, it's okay, because I'm documenting my thoughts. Currently I'm a week sober, and it's given me a goal. It's given me a new lease of life. Yeah, and I'm thinking, I always wanted to die at 30, but maybe, hopefully it's my old self that dies at 30. And maybe I can do something. Yeah, this has been a very, very long video. I don't expect anyone to get to the end. If you do, that's incredible. This, I believe, is going to be the most boring video. But if I do get people that listen to my future stuff and they want to know a little bit more about me, then they'll come here. And yeah, this is my story. The moral of it is, if you feel like you want to die, you need to do something something scary. You need to do something different. You need to take a risk, because what's the worst that can happen? If it doesn't pan out, what, you want to kill yourself again? Well, that's exactly where you're at. So yeah, if you're really feeling suicidal, just take a risk, because you've got absolutely nothing to lose. Yeah, thank you for listening, if you have. I'm going to make more videos. I've got lots of topics to talk about. And I've got lots of time to kill now that I'm sober. So yeah, this has been my expression of depression. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care.